Hi, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to everyone. And welcome back to our series of webinars. And today we are having the 23rd International Talk on Green Business, Sustainability, and Climate Action. And this webinar is being organized jointly by the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability and the Global Green Chamber of Commerce. And we'll be having three prominent guest speakers as usual. And I'm inviting Michelle Thatcher to have some opening remarks. So the
Thank
floor
you,
is yours, Michelle.
Thank you, Dr. Wissam, and welcome everyone. Welcome to our speakers. Welcome to our guests who are joining us from all over the world. This is going to be a very interactive program, especially as we're getting started. So I suggest pulling out your phones, making sure you're ready to do comments. And so we're so excited today because we have speakers from Morocco, India, and I know Mauricio is in Mexico right now, but originally from Colombia. And we have a team joining us, Constance from France, and Laura Batstone from the United States, and others that will be on the LinkedIn guest list. So thank you, and please be, we're so happy to have you be part of our global sustainability family here. And I wanted to let everybody know to please mark your calendars for Thursday, August 21st. That will be the 24th International Talk. And as Dr. Wissam had stated, the Global Green Chamber of Commerce, in conjunction with the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability, is hosting this. And we are starting green chambers in different countries all over the world. And I know we have one starting up in Morocco. So Samir, this will be very relevant to those who are getting that started, but in other regions as well. As I mentioned, this will be interactive very quickly. We have the Global Climate Pledge. Constance Rabi is heading up that project. And so this will just take a couple of minutes if you pull out your phone. The Global Climate Pledge is an interactive commitment, and a lot of people ask, like, what is the point of taking a pledge? And because if you make a pre-commitment prior to taking an action, you have an 80% probability of sticking to that commitment. And we know that all of us need to be sticking to our commitments these days. So this is a way for you to take action. There's resources on the pledge, and we see this as a global movement. It's not ours, it's everyone being part of it and sharing it. We have Rotary clubs around the world, we have chambers of commerce, we have universities, students, and professors and others and businesses that are also taking the pledge. So there's an individual pledge, which is the one that we're highlighting here, but there's also a business organization pledge as well. So here's the code. You can scan it very quickly just to, again, start taking action. You can just take one new action, so not a big deal. We're starting this new commitment here to really stop and give peace and love and kindness out in the world. We know that there are so many things happening that are harming all of us on a different level. There's war, there's famine, and so if each of us just for 10 seconds take a deep breath and take a moment of silence to focus again on peace, love, and kindness in the world. And we will extend that into this program as each of us speak and we think about all of the sustainability practices that each of us are committing to. I'm going to pass it over to Constance Rabi, who is going to give us some friendly reminders of those who are joining us live on LinkedIn right now. So Constance.
Hi, everybody. My name is Constance, and I'm going to present to you our friendly reminders. that we encourage your participation. You are making this program magical. Like, we want to hear from you. We want to know where you're from. And so you're welcome to share thoughts, reaction, and insight during the presentation. We're also going to have a Q&A session, and all the questions will be asked at the end. And if not, we will be posting all the questions on the post. On the post. And so, we just want to remind you that this is a space for open, inclusive, and uplifting dialogue.
Thank you so much. And we love it when you post your city and your country, and we take note of it, and we really share how many people are joining us from all over the world and what a global audience we really are. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it back to Dr. Wissam with the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability. And without him and the organization, none of us would be here today. We're really bringing together, again, that global audience. So thank you so much for you, Dr. Wissam.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle. And we are now starting with our first guest speaker, Mr. Mauricio Cardenas. And Mr. Mauricio is a social and environmental impact entrepreneur, mentor, and consultant from Mexico. So the floor is yours, Mr. Mauricio.
You're on mute.
Thanks again to Michelle, Dr. Wissam, and my colleagues for hosting me today. I understand I have a little bit under 20 minutes for the presentation, so please give me a previous notice when there's only 5 minutes left so that I speed up. The topic for me today is business climate action, challenges and opportunities. And I'm gonna be addressing the public from the perspective of Cámara Verde, or Latin America Green Chamber, that I co-founded 13 years ago and that I preside from Mexico City throughout the region. Who are we? We are a social and environmental positive impact nonprofit organization that promotes a human-scale, sustainable, and regenerative economy. We associate and provide services to green startups, business corporations, NGOs, community-based and governmental organizations on their journey towards sustainability and regeneration. Where are we? You see the dots on the circles throughout the Americas continent. We started up in Colombia 13 years ago, and I moved to Mexico 5 years ago, where we oversee the operations in all of those countries listed there. The next one will be Brazil. What do? We connect, build capacities, and partner with a number of the actors in the ecosystem of sustainability and regeneration innovation. Particularly today, I will refer to the value chains made up from the green startup and the business corporation world. So what are the climate change challenges in Latin America? We have faced over the years significant challenges, which include risks of extreme weather. We're next to in the middle section of Latin America, to where hurricanes in this season make their appearance and cause trouble. We are also on the Pacific basin area, subject to the ups and downs coming from El Niño and La Niña, which bring about dry seasons and floods alternatively. So it is the extreme weather pattern in its fall. We also face, in countries where I'm located, Mexico, we face out of the entire territory, 80% is subject to um, extreme dryness, which presents difficulties to provide sufficient water, particularly for the agricultural sector, which consumes over 70% of the water supply, let alone what goes on industry and for home use. Finally, agriculture has been severely impacted. There are regions in Latin America, let's take the example of the state of Sao Paulo in Brazil, where a lot of coffee for export is grown, but because of climate change, now there are regions that were very fertile for coffee growing that have simply vanished away. So now coffee has to be grown at higher altitude, and there's lack of terrain for doing that. The region also has suffered from weather-related and climate-related impacts that have provoked enormous migration. So we have a new category, which is climate migrants. So poverty and inequality issues have been taking a toll. What are the companies, the business challenges in the face of climate change? Well, from our perspective, we bring together close to 1,000 business corporations and green startups. Companies have an essential role to play, particularly as they deliberately set a transition towards a net zero emissions economy. So we have huge companies that have a global presence. I'm gonna make the example of Bimbo, which is the largest bakery in the world, headquartered in Mexico, that have taken this seriously. And to continue building on the example, we have had Bimbo delegates attending some of our activities where we introduce them to startups that help the entire value chain to which Bimbo belongs reduce their footprint on all environmental resources, energy, water, materials. So this is something that by acting ambitiously and proactively can minimize the impact of climate change, can certainly mitigate it and help communities and value chains adapt to it. At the same time, these companies that we are working with can seize economic opportunities, drive innovations, and create long-term value during this shift towards a more sustainable and clean energy economy. There are 4 areas where we contribute to this being a reality. And obviously, we are just one actor in the bigger green ecosystem in Latin America. We provide access to capital, to new markets, to clean technologies, and to talent. And this combination, which we have been building over the last 13 years, is demonstrating that the half is half full as opposed to half empty. There are over 1,800 success stories on our repository in our YouTube channel to demonstrate it. And I invite the audience to follow us and learn about what these companies' experience represent for them. They can be a source of inspiration. Back in 2023, for which we have data, more than a third of the world's 2,000 largest companies had goals to reach net zero emissions by 2050. With the current geopolitics, we've seen these numbers dwindle. At that point, from that vantage point, prior to the current geopolitical situation, 2/3 of those largest companies in the world, which had expressed their net zero goals, showed, as our sources quote, a troubling lack of clarity on essentials. And I'll explain this in my following slide. Transition plans to include business integration, emissions reduction strategies, investments, governance, policy advocacy, and just transition criteria are in place in a clearly defined manner in the pre-geopolitical condition we are going through, only in 2/3 of the largest companies in the world. A lot of them have affiliates, branches, subsidiaries in Latin America. So the situation in Latin America is certainly more worrisome. There's difficulty separating disclosure and goal setting from the actual action plans. And those pillars are dearly needed. However, because even the biggest investment firms, starting up by BlackRock, which is the largest holder of assets, have relaxed their ESG standards or simply have decided not to follow them. Those plans to decarbonize the economy are being questioned. There's also confusion between the role of ESG reports, various disclosure platforms and frameworks, and that of the transition plans to net zero. Companies do need, and as well as investors, guidance for disclosure, benchmarking, value chain engagement, climate adaptation, scenario analysis, and success case studies. This is, as I said, because of the current geopolitical conditions, severely stalled. What do we argue are ways for the response from businesses to allow them to move forward to a net zero by 2050, as was previously stated? First of all, we need to have more benchmarking and best practice sharing. Let me quote another source, which is the US Green Chamber of Commerce, that holds a repository of innovations, over 700 of them, which can be shared with companies on request, and that demonstrate what can be done. Internationally as well, what was called Green Biz, now goes by another name, held a multitude of events. I've attended several of them, called or nicknamed Climate Tech Summits, where best practices are shared and emerging companies, particularly in the startup mode, present what they can, the value that they can add to bigger value chains. So this, we argue, needs to happen more frequently. Secondly, as a result of that sharing and as a result of public policy, there needs to be clusters and value chains working together. In Europe, we have a practice started up by the Dutch around industrial symbiosis, which has furthered circular economy by bringing companies that can use waste produced by the action of several of those companies into practical use almost immediately by others who share geographical territory and agreements to do so. So the waste from certain companies can be an input for the others. And this is a great way to reduce climate change, according to the Helen MacArthur Foundation. Close to 50% of the gas emissions that bring climate change could be significantly reduced by simply adopting these kinds of circular economy tools. Thirdly, there's a number of international standards and norms that are going from voluntary to regulated, particularly in Europe. And in the case of Latin America, that has an influence in the adoption of these standards and norms by companies who do business with Europe. This has benefited the reduction of emissions in the Latin America countries, the fact that they are wanting to do business with Europe. So compliance with these standards is a bonus for companies to actually further their net zero route. Lastly, those problems that I pointed out as far as having clarity in regards to the different stages of the process and how the diagnostic tools can be used more frequently in order to set up the course and clearly state action plans to get to net zero. Those need to be in place and be utilized for course adjustments. Summarizing, business climate action strategies include having companies clearly state their sustainable and regenerative models. It's also a possibility furthered by the emergence of the so-called sustainable finance and regenerative finance, which rewards companies who have business models that contribute to those two goals. Science-based indicators along clusters and value chains. This is already, there's enough evidence to support the science-based targets as far as decarbonization, and these have to be divulged and shared and clearly understood by not just companies but clusters and value chains together. There's a new field emerging, and that's the field of eco design. Of course, it's been in place for decades, but now has become urgent to adopt it as companies design products and services to cut emission reductions, or to cut emissions, rather. We are firm believers as ecosystem builders in the power of collaboration. So the Latin America Green Chamber, as a sister organization of the U.S. Green Chamber, and a proud member of the advisory committee of the Global Green Chamber, uh, brings together businesses, incubators, and accelerators, universities, research centers, so that joint projects are made possible and cooperation takes place. We need that. The challenges and the threats are so huge that no individual company, and not even each individual cluster or a value chain can do it alone. Lastly, uh, companies, hopefully together with their clusters, geographically speaking, and value chains, which transcends territory, uh, need to adopt investment and commercial strategies that reinforce the process of getting to net zero. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mauricio, for this interesting sharings. And now we move to the second speaker. And the second speaker will be Mr. Samir Inia from Morocco. Mr. Samir is a PhD student of economic impact, the economic impact of climate change at Ibn Tufayl University in Quneitra in Morocco. So the floor is yours, Mr. Samir.
Thank you, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to warmly thank the Global Green Chamber of Commerce and the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability and all the co-hosts for organizing this important event. It's an absolute honor to be a part of the 23rd International Talk on Green Business, Sustainability and Climate Change. As Dr. Wissam said, I'm a PhD student in Ibn Tufayl University in Morocco, and today I'd like to share with you some of our findings from our recent research, two studies in fact, on how climate change is already affecting Morocco's and low and middle country incomes, economy and agriculture, and what green transition policies can do to protect both economy and environment. So, from climate risk to green opportunities, because that's really the real challenge for policymakers, turning a threat into a chance for inclusive, sustainable growth. So let's start with the big picture. Climate change is not longer abstract in Morocco or in low and middle income countries. It's already here, so we should admire and think about this. While we are talking here and now, climate change is here also. So it's really terrifying sometimes. And that's why we should really think about that. It's not a future threat anymore, it's here. So as you know, agriculture, which represents around 14% of GDP in Morocco, is one of the most expected sectors. So our recent study shows that droughts and temperature anomalies can reduce agriculture GDP by 2.5% in a bad year. And that's not just a climate issue, it's a macroeconomic issue. So the key question is, can we design green policies that, and I'm not gonna say fight or facing climate change, but adapting with climate change, because now it's a matter of adapting with and not fighting some exogenous thing like climate change. We should adapt with climate change and make it a benefit for us. So this is the whole idea. And as you see in this graphic, this is from our study, just to remind you. And as you see, rainfall variability and rise in temperature are the primary culprits. The agriculture sector depends on rainfall, makes it sensitive to even small climate shocks, as you see. And by combining climate data and agriculture output over time, we used machine learning techniques, which is a discipline of AI, to measure the precise and the real impacts of some climatic variables on agriculture GDP in Morocco. So the results are really clear. Climate volatility is already reducing productivity, but it's not just about lose or loss. It's about what we do in response, the feedback. That's where opportunity comes in. In our second study, we looked at the macroeconomic side and how environmental indicators shape GDP growth and employment or unemployment. So we trained a random forest model, which is a machine learning model, using global data from NASA from 2000 to 2022, and the results were striking. Environmental factors, especially renewable energy use and CO2 emission per capita, strongly predict labor market outcomes. And more importantly, we found threshold effects. What that means, that technically means that the relationship isn't linear. There are tipping points where benefits or costs accelerate, as you see in the second graphic. And that's why smart policy design matters. So a green transition brings trade-offs, but can be managed if we understand the data. So it's about understanding the mechanism and understanding the data. Here in the slide, we bring up the question that what happens if Morocco adopts different climate policies over the next decade. And we simulated 3 scenarios from 2025 to 2035. The first scenario was the business as usual, which means if we did nothing. In the scenario, growth stays at 3.2%, but unemployment remains high at 11%. In the second scenario, carbon pricing only without revenue recycling, the GDP growth falls to 1.3%, but unemployment drops slightly to 9.2%. In the third scenario, which is carbon pricing plus revenue recycling, and by revenue recycling, we mean invest the revenue of carbon pricing in like green energy or the access to clean fuel and etc. Growth improves to 1.7% and unemployment falls to 8.8% by 2035. So the message is really crystal clear. Pricing carbon alone is costly, but if the revenue is recycled into green investments, social programs, or energy access, it absorbs the impacts and even boosts or improves the job creation. So the key message is that climate change is a serious and growing risk, especially for agriculture and vulnerable sectors. However, green transition policies, if well designed, and this is the one and the only and the crucial and the primordial condition, well-designed policy can protect both the economy and the environment. But the key is how we use the tool. It's not about just having the tool, but how we will use it. So the revenue from carbon pricing shouldn't just go to the treasury or wherever. It should be redirected toward rural developments, energy access, and green jobs. And that's how we align growth with resilience. And finally, based on our findings, here are 4 recommendations or policy implications. So, dear policymaker, please invest in irrigation systems and drought resilience crops to buffer agriculture from climate volatility. Scale up renewable energy and improve access to clean cooking fuels, especially in rural areas. Recycle carbon revenue into job creating green sectors and targeted supports for vulnerable communities. And finally, strengthen regional cooperation. MENA-wide climate strategies can reduce carbon leakage and share infrastructure costs. And these are all actionable evidence-based steps that Morocco and similar countries like Morocco, and I mean by similar countries, countries with low and middle income can take right now. And the takeaway or the quote is that climate action is not just a cause, it's a significant opportunity. With the right policies, Morocco can reduce emissions, create jobs, and build resilience, especially in agriculture, where the stakes are high. So the transition will require bold choices and wise investments, but the benefits, economic, social, and environmental, are within reach. And thank you. I tried to be quick, and that's it. Thank you for your presence and your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Samir, for this interesting findings. And now we move to the third guest speaker. And our speaker will be Prof. Dr. Hibatullah Adam. And Dr. Hibatullah, she is a full professor of economics, and also she's an academic dean at OP Jindal Global University in India. So the floor is yours, Dr. Hibatullah. If you need to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you for the invitation, and I'm just sharing my PowerPoint.
I think we might have lost Professor Adam. Oh, she's back.
So, hello, am I audible?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, is my presentation now clear? Is it visible?
We can see the screen, but not the presentation.
You cannot see the presentation. Okay. And now?
No, I think, Prof, you need to have your presentation. So we are sharing the full screen, but we see just the screen, not the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. What about now? Is it visible? Hello?
Yeah. Oh, it was, and it just disappeared. Yep, there you are. And you can put it in presentation mode, which would be helpful, I think.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, great. So thank you, first of all, for inviting me to join this esteemed gathering today. And I'm delighted to join and present the main findings of my research on green transition and intersectionality in Africa, challenges and opportunities. Let's start first by setting the floor for the concept and Africa and why intersectionality and green transition in Africa. So actually, as you will see next coming slides, Africa is having a clear vision to move towards a sustainable future. However, that transition to the green economy, definitely it is bringing so many opportunities to the African people, but at the same time there are lots of challenging and lots of constraints that many of the African countries are currently facing, and it's really important to recognize how different groups in the African societies, women and other vulnerable and marginalized communities are suffering to cope with that transition and with the implementation of all green policies. And here, when I have mentioned that, why I just want to, before proceeding with my presentation, to explain why it is difficult for women and different marginalized groups in Africa. It is because of in all societies and specifically in Africa, we do have different social identities that are all creating, of course, our identity. It's not only about gender, but also it's about class, ethnicity, age. All these are shaping people's experiences of all features of our daily life, and more specifically to climate change and our actions and government's reactions to climate change. And this is what is bringing intersectionality to our discussion. I mean, in the context of climate change and the green economy. So that is a general introduction of my topic for today. So now let's proceed and move to first try to explain some basic foundations that are related to the research. First of all is intersectionality. So intersectionality is initially was coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in 1889. And intersectionality, actually, it is a kind or a way to understand how overlapping identities create a unique form of disadvantages for different categories of people in the society, especially for women and vulnerable and marginalized populations in rural areas. So, for example, the experiences of rural women during their reactions to different climate disasters, definitely it is different from other women in the city or in much more advanced geographical locations. And their reaction or how they deal with the different climate changes, it's not only because of their gender, but also because of other factors like their poverty levels, their income, their location, where they are geographically living, and also culture norms, their race, and among also other factors. So here it is. It's really important to understand how intersectionality is actually affecting people's reactions and their how they have been affected by climate change and how the government have reacted to it. Now, this slide shows that second idea of the climate change and intersectionality. And actually, research is showing that climate change impacts are deeply gendered and socially stratified. So climate change is not impacts, they are not distributed equally to all individuals in the society. We will see in many cases in many countries that some category of people, they are affected more severely than other category or other group or class in the society. So here, this is bringing us to one first initial main conclusion that it's really important that different climate policies implemented by governments, they should reflect the realities that most people in the society, especially the vulnerable and women, ethnic minorities, rural communities, we should take care and give them more of support during disasters or climate disasters or climate transition, and also more specifically if you are speaking about shifting towards a green economy, so more care should be provided to that specific group of people in the society. Now, let's also add one more dimension to our talk, which is Africa, because this is the main region in our discussion. So let's first speak about Africa contributions to the global emissions. In reality, Africa is only contributing to 7.2% of global emissions. But yet still Africa is considered to be as one of the most vulnerable regions in the world. Why Africa is suffering the most? For several reasons, but most importantly, first is of course the limited infrastructure and the economic dependency on agriculture, weak access to information which can support countries during climate disasters. So they don't have that kind of database and how to manage different times of vulnerabilities. So all this, of course, is adding to more challenges to our topic. And if we talk more about the social dimension and how in Africa specific groups like women, rural communities, and vulnerable marginalized people, how they are suffering. So here it really, the picture, of course, it becomes more dark. So that's why here also this slide, it is showing you how different factors, if we take them into consideration in our analysis of climate change and gender in Africa, will add more layers to the problems that people are facing in Africa, like income level, ethnicity, health, age, and geographic location. So despite that, Africa is having a vision for 2033, which aims to achieve equitable growth and to implement many green initiatives. But however, if we will not start from now to implement climate change and green transition policies that will take care of these specific groups of people in the society, so it will be much more difficult in future to deal with them and to assist them, to make them more empowered to survive in such kind of transition towards a green economy. Now I would like to the gender gap, the research gap. We have conducted a bibliometric analysis, and it has confirmed that there is a major gap. While there are hundreds of research on intersectionality and Africa, each of the two concepts separately are there, but only few, 10 specifically, link the intersectionality and Africa to climate change, and none is addressing green transition specifically. So here, it can be considered as a call to have more of research work in this field, to make environmental policy truly inclusive. So we need to have more of research in the African countries on the green transition, intersectionality, and climate change. Of course, here is this slide is showing you that the bibliometric analysis was conducted on Scopus database for the period from 2014 to 2024. And we had only found that we have very few papers addressing the main three concepts we have in our research: the green transition, intersectionality, and Africa. Let's move to the research objectives. What are exactly the objectives of this research? First, we have mapped the intersectionality research in Africa from 2014 to 2024, assessing inclusion in climate, green transition literature, identify thematic gaps, gender, class, ethnicity, environment, and to recommend policy and academic strategies for inclusion. Now I will move to give you some overview of our used methods in this research. So actually we have used three a mixed methods approach. First, a bibliometric analysis using Scopus data from 2024 to 2014 to 2024. Then a thematic reflection based on environmental justice, feminist theory, and critical social analysis. And all together, they have given more depth to our findings that I will share with you in the next coming slides. So now to the findings or the results. I will divide the results into two big group. First, we have the challenges of green transition from an intersectional lens, and then we will have the opportunities for inclusive green transition. Let's start first with the challenges. So when speaking about challenges from intersectional lens, actually green transition faces major challenges. First of all, the economic barriers, and when we speak about economic barriers, we'll find that they are disproportionately affecting women and rural communities. So more support should be given to women and rural communities in Africa, as because of the intersectionality factor, and they are suffering from several inequalities on different levels. So more of support should be given to them. Secondly, we have the institutions often overlook diverse needs in policies and government guidelines and all implemented supports. They don't, because I have mentioned earlier that we do have lack of data and information about different categories in the society and what are their needs, what challenges they are facing, or different difficulties they are facing. So because of that insufficiency in data, institutions usually in Africa, they don't have this kind of diverse overview of all the needs of different groups in the society. Also, to add more to this, we have the digital and technical divide, and the culture norms resisting to change. And lastly, the structure inequalities continue to marginalize the vulnerable population and women more specifically. Now moving to the opportunities for inclusive green transition in Africa. So despite all the challenges that I have just mentioned, we have to say that Africa still has lots of abundant opportunities to implement inclusive green transition policies and to apply renewable energy, because they do have already in Africa a abundant renewable energy potential. So we have already so many opportunities in Africa. Some of the opportunities that I will mention in brief, rest is on the slide. For example, the climate smart agriculture, inclusive green, inclusive financial tools, better are all a kind of policy that can be used in Africa to empower vulnerable groups, and especially if we are using more culturally rooted technologies that can transform the marginalization more into empowerment. Because applying international guidelines and international technologies will not be suitable for the kind of societies in Africa, and especially the agriculture societies in different African nations. So here, the most important thing is that to understand that when dealing with green transition policies, it must be assessed and implemented through an intersectional lens, where the solutions that will be provided by the government, it should be much more tailored to the needs of the society and different groups of the society. So moving to now to our conclusion, first of all is that green transition in Africa presents both challenges and opportunities, but we must address the socio-economic inequalities, and while moving towards a green transition, we should focus more on that kind of green transition which is just, that is promoting social justice. Of course, one second main conclusion is that policymakers, they should recognize the intersectionality and the importance of developing more inclusive strategies to address climate change and ensure that all communities, all groups in the society are able to benefit from the transition to a sustainable economy. Just transition is not only essential for achieving environmental goals, but also it is important for fostering a more equitable and resilient society in Africa. As I've mentioned, Africa, there are lots of, so many groups are suffering from different kinds of or different forms of inequalities. So that's why it is important to give them specific care while implementing the different green transition initiatives. That were the main conclusions of our presentation. Moving to the policy recommendations, the main points is to mainstream intersectionality in all climate change frameworks that African countries are implementing, fund interdisciplinary African-led research, because I have mentioned in my research gaps that we have very few research papers on intersectionality and green transition and climate change. So we need to have more of research in this field. Build inclusive finance tools, train officials in intersectional governance, promote community-based bottom-up strategies, invest in tech and education access, and finally strengthen regional cooperation and knowledge exchange between African countries and also between Africa and other regions in the world, like, for example, here between knowledge sharing between India and African countries. Thank you for your attention, and I was really delighted to join you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. for your interesting presentation and findings. And I'm handing over the session to Michelle and Constance to moderate the Q&A session.
Thank you, Dr. Wissam, and many thanks to our esteemed speakers today for their very thoughtful and insightful presentations. We have so many comments, so many questions to go through, and I just want to say that any questions that we do not address today, as Constance mentioned in the beginning, that we will include them within the comment section of the post of this video that Dr. Wissam will put out. And so we'll tag you as the speaker and then you as well as the participant who gave that question. So hopefully we'll get through many of them right now. I'm going to dive in. We're going to start with Mauricio Cardenas, as he started first today. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Mauricio, as he and Camera Verde de Comercio is one of our key partners as the global Green Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Green Chamber of Commerce. They have been at our side. We have traveled down to Colombia and Mexico and Central America. And so we're really allies within this space. So I'm so honored to have him. And I see a couple of members from his team joining us today. Before we get started with the questions, actually, I wanted to just give a heads up as far as the type of audience that we have joining us. And these are just a few people that have put in their city and state or country. So we have Hartford, Connecticut, USA, Oman, Odessa, Ukraine, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Afghanistan, quite a few people from India, UK, several people from Malaysia, several people from Bangladesh, Brazil, Bangalore, India, Accra, Ghana, Romania, Austria, Lagos, Nigeria, Toronto, Canada, Namibia, Kenya, Zambia, Ghana, Dallas, Texas, Mexico, Bogota, Colombia, Egypt, Dubai, UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Texas, USA, Querétaro, Mexico, Chile, and many more. So we always like to highlight that this is an extremely global audience. There's very respectful dialogue happening in the comments section. So I encourage everyone to also include, if you're just joining us, make sure that you do include where you're joining us from today. So Mauricio, our first question is from Indira Bunik. She's from Switzerland. What successful models of business climate action can be replicated across different industries?
Well, that's a very intriguing question. We do have a roadmap which includes 12 steps. It would take me too long to explain each and every one of them, but to summarize what we do as we mentor hundreds of startups, small and medium-sized businesses, and get the support of big businesses who want to include those smaller firms into their value chains. To begin with, and I've noticed this has been one of the most dealt with topics on the chat on LinkedIn, we identify or help identify what contributions to sustainable development goals those businesses are already making and where they want to go in the near term. By near term, we mean during the next year. By doing so, and out of the 17 SDGs, we get a more clear view of how genuine these businesses are in regards to contributing to the goals and indicators that have been set up by the Global Compact. And obviously, we also test their ability to ascertain whether by continuing doing business the way they are, they will achieve those contributions that they have set for themselves as their goals. I know this is controversial, and I know I worked for close to 20 years with the university where the Observatory of Progress towards Sustainability Development Goals is headquartered, and I know that there's skepticism on the positive side. I'm from my 40-year experience supporting small and medium-sized businesses and startups. I do see this, it started in 2015, as a good way to make their commitments real and not just to have a nicely stated vision and mission on the wall. Obviously, it can be improved. It has only been tested for 10 years now, and there has been more retrocess than progress in most cases. but that doesn't mean that those who take it seriously are not making the best out of clearly having the SDG diagnostic and measurement tools in place
Yes.
as they continue doing their business. So I'll stop there. I know this is controversial, but for us, it's been replicable, scalable, and for those bigger companies who want to get their smaller into their value chains, and for those financial companies and investors who want to reward contributions to items beyond the economic side of things in the social, in the governance, and in the environmental areas. I don't see any substitute now for that to track progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mauricio. And thank you for those questions. Really important because, like you said, there's a lot of dialogue in there. And I also want to encourage the audience. I noticed there was one person who said, hey, how can I join the Mexico Green Chamber? That's another way for you to just get involved and reach out to Mauricio in that space. The next.
It's a simple, Michelle, for the person who is interested, as going to our webpage, cameraverde.org, and they'll find all they need to do in order to become members, and there are other roles that they can play.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And the next question is for Samir. And Samir, I just want to say thank you so much. The reason that this program is so unique and with Dr. Adam is because we are bringing together the university research and ideas and the concepts together with, like right now, we have Mauricio who's in working with those businesses, and we've had individual businesses along with other NGOs. That integration is what's very unique about this particular program. And what I see here with both Dr. Adam and Samir is that you've provided like the very clear research to be able to give to those businesses and the community and the governments to say, this is what needs to be done from a policy perspective, from an action perspective, and giving us the credentials to do it. So really highlighting, you both have highlighted the opportunities here, which I think we as in the business community need to continually working and collaborating with you in that. So we do need to transition into those types of areas. So one of our questions is from Shruti Buzi. And Shruti asks, what specific types of green policies could Morocco implement that would both reduce vulnerability in the agricultural sector and support economic growth? So do you have specifics?
Like we had an example in our presentation, like for example, the carbon pricing or pricing carbon. Pricing carbon can work for Morocco and for other countries with low and middle income. But the problem is that with just carbon pricing, we will touch the economy, because we shouldn't forget that the economy based on like industry, the carbon is a part of the industry. So we should make the trade-off between economy and environment. But there is the necessarily evil. We call it necessarily evil. We can do carbon pricing, but in the same time, we should invest the revenue of carbon pricing into some green investments, creating jobs in green sectors, like for example, investing in clean fuel, rent gas, etc. So we shouldn't just focus on the policy, but we should focus on the results of the policy. The results of this policy we will adapt or adopt. So we will do a carbon pricing, yes, but what's the results? We will touch our economy, our GDP, our employment. So we should really balance between the costs and what we will benefit from this policy. So this is the idea. It's about balancing with costs with benefits, costs and benefits. So just like that. We should just balance things between costs and benefits. We will do the carbon pricing, yes, but we need and we should invest the revenue of carbon pricing in green sector to balance the costs and the benefits. It works for Morocco, and it's based evidence. The data is talking. It was a really robust analysis for saying that it's not just theoretical, it's really empirical. It works for Morocco, for Africa, some countries in Africa, Middle East, and a lot of countries that they have low or middle income. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Samir.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And I do think that that's such an important pathway in making sure that those investments are going back into where they should be. I know in certain countries that could, they definitely could go in the wrong direction. So, and I'm sad to see certain countries, I know Canada went backwards on their price on carbon, but I'm really glad to see things moving forward in other countries. And our next question is for Dr. Adam. And first, I just want to say, I really love the fact that you brought up the term intersectionality, because it's not something that we are talking about enough in the world of sustainability. And at least a lot of our speakers here have not brought that up. So thank you so much. And also, again, highlighting those opportunities, I think in the climate agriculture, the green finance, the tech for equity. I haven't heard that term, so I really like that. And in ecotourism, we've seen all through, I know, Central and South America, where women are really taking the charge in ecotourism. So thank you so much. And our first question is from Indira Bunik. And the question is, how can businesses develop climate solutions that simultaneously address racial equity, gender equality, and economic inclusion? Maybe it's a first step.
Oh, yes. So thank you for your comments, and thanks for the participants that truly insightful question. So business or firms in any society, they do have also an immoral obligation to support different categories of people in the society, including the women and marginalized people. So it's important to that they develop climate solutions to address racial equity, gender equality, economic inclusion, and also green transition, as was the topic of my presentation. So how they can do it? It can be through different things, starting first from the design of the solutions they are providing. It should be inclusive solutions that involves all groups and marginalized communities, involving especially women in rural area, all kinds of racial minorities we may have in our societies, including them in the design and the decision making of all kinds of climate projects. Also, their investments, I believe, should be equitable kind of investments that provide fair job opportunities to all people in the society, and not only to announce that we do have green jobs, but also to give the people in the society the opportunity to train and to acquire all kinds of skills that are required to get into such kind of new green jobs that they are creating. So it's to also to provide not only jobs, but here what I want to say is that they also provide a kind of upskilling programs for women and minorities and other kind of marginalized groups in the society. It's also too important that they, as I've mentioned also this in my presentation, is to provide technologies that are coming from the communities. So it should be new also to support the technology driven that are coming from the community itself. So maybe this will be kind of support for people in rural areas. So in short, what I want to say is that this can be done. Business sector or firms, they can provide solutions that can support justice and or just transition by implementing and supporting all marginalized groups, women and people, on all steps, since the first the design till the implementation, and in even after that, in when they are upgrading their projects. So they should invest more in the regions that are highly impacted by climate change. So this is their, I believe this is their obligation, but it may be difficult in some countries because business sector also in Africa, they do have their own challenges. So that's why we cannot count only on business. So we need also support from government and from international organizations when we are dealing with matters related to development in Africa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adom. Really appreciate you bringing up the training too. I know even in the United States, we're not even close to having the proper training for those, regardless of even the gender sector, but we're definitely not focused on equity as far as the training sectors as well. So thank you so much. And I want to point out the QR code up on this screen right at this moment. If you could take out your phones, you can scan the QR code, and that will lead you to download a certificate of participation in today's program from the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability. So again, many thanks to Dr. Wissam. And then also there's a place where if you know somebody who could be a fantastic speaker, just like our speakers today, that would like to speak at an upcoming event, it's also a place for you to put that in. And then because this is a very interactive global sustainability family that we're constantly bringing into this space, we want to learn more about what actions you're taking because of what you're learning today. We want to be able to share that back with our speakers, and then also have that be part of the successes of what we're accomplishing by putting on these programs. So please, if you can, scan that and drop in a few comments in the chat there, or also just reach out to Dr. Wissam. That's another way. I know we're running really short on time, but I'm going to try to get through a couple of more questions. And Mauricio, Strong Truth asks, how can digital technology such as blockchain, AI, open data be useful in making SDG 17 partnerships more transparent and efficient in Mexico? So I know it's a long question, but if you could try to keep it to just a couple of minutes, that'd be fantastic.
Sure, that's a great question. We've been working over the past 7 years on so-called intelligent climate projects. And what that entails is we do use blockchain in order to make sure for those stakeholders who really want to have traceability and to make sure that whatever money they are putting in is indeed going into carbon capture and community positive impact by using the technology. And there's a number of platforms that we've incorporated in our work The latest one is going to be dealt with on a webinar shortly, not just in Mexico. We come, so to speak, to the rescue of credibility. We all know this hasn't been a subject of conversation on this webinar, that carbon markets have lost credibility, have lost investors, and in certain ways, specifically because of the offsetting role they've played, a lot of companies are not willing to enter those carbon markets. The reasons are well known. Projects have been certified that shouldn't have been certified. So yes, blockchain and technologies revolving around it are most welcome. We have been using them in the last 7 years, and we have success stories that demonstrate that when used, those buyers in demanding markets and those investors trust what they get.
Thank you so much, Mauricio. And I want to just highlight the programs that Camera Verde does on a regular basis. As he mentioned, there is an entire library for you to go to access. I highly encourage you to watch those, especially if you speak Spanish. I know some are in English, but I know that if you watch them on YouTube, you can get those automatically translated. I think we have just a quick, if you can answer this quickly, Samir. This question is from Strong Truth, and Strong asks, how is Morocco working to improve its statistical and data systems for agricultural monitoring, which is, I think, so important?
Well, this is the main problem. We are given some insights for the government to work on this, because in Morocco we still think that climate change is a future threat, and that's what I said before. It's not a future threat anymore. It's here. So we are building the mindset of start doing what we should do, start adapting with climate change, and that's the main problem. The action. This is where the problem, in the action. Yes, we know that climate change is happening also, and all that, but the action, the policy making is the main problem. So what we need now is the action. So what Morocco did for adapting to climate change, especially agricultural issues, the investments in irrigation, for just an example, for the price in carbon, it's not really something that we did, but it's something we should do in the future. But we should, before doing that and before making the policy, we should understand how it will affect us economically, socially, and then in the environmental parts. That's it. So we should, before making the policy, we should understand what will the policy and how the policy will affect us.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I know we're running out of time here, so I wanted to just give a huge thanks to our esteemed speakers today, to our audience. I want to personally thank our collective team who helped to promote this as well. Lauren Batstone, who is in the audience today and providing guidance. Constance Rabi, who's from France and has helped, again, market the entire program. And of course, I'm going to pass it back to Dr. Wissam, which again, we would not be here today without him bringing us all together. So Dr. Wissam.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle and the team, for the moderation. And I would like again to thank all the guest speakers for their enlightening presentations and findings. And I would like also to thank the audience for the engagements and interactions as usual. So we'll be seeing you again in 2 weeks' time with more speakers. As usual, we are having those fruitful discussions and potential for networking and collaboration in the future, learning those rich experiences and various scenarios. So I'd like to thank everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Have a good time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.